Friends, we've come together in the presence of God to witness the marriage of Brian and Allison, to surround them with our prayers, and to share their joy. Christian marriage is a joyful covenant between a man and a woman in which they proclaim before God and human witnesses their commitment to live together in spiritual, physical, and material unity. In this covenant, they acknowledge the importance of God's love and presence in their lives. They understand that this way of life must not be entered into carelessly or from selfish motives, but responsibly and prayerfully. You may be seated.
Before God and this congregation, I ask you to affirm your willingness to enter this covenant of marriage, to share all the joys and sorrows of this relationship, whatever the future may hold. Brian, will you have this woman to be your wife? Will you pledge yourself to her in all love and honor, in all duty and service, in all faith and tenderness, to live with her, to cherish her, according to the ordinance of God and the bond of holy marriage? And Allison, will you have this man to be your husband, and will you pledge yourself to him in love and honor, in all duty and service, all faith and tenderness, to live with him and to cherish him, according to the ordinance of God and the holy bond of marriage?
And to the families of Brian and Allison, will you receive Brian and Allison into your family and uphold them with your love as they establish themselves as a family within your own? Please answer by saying, "We will."
We will.
And who presents this woman to be married to this man?
Well, Pastor, I'd like to answer that question with a little family history. 23-something years ago, when we discovered we were expecting a child, I got on my knees and I prayed. And I said, "Father, if it be your will, would you bless me with a little girl?" And God answered that prayer. And not only did he answer that prayer with a daughter, he answered that prayer with a daddy's girl. And then when the day she was born, and her mother held her in her arms for the first time, the radiance that emitted from her face, I said, "Lord, I'd like to pray again. And would you bless her with the traits and the qualities that her mother possesses?" And God answered that prayer. He gave her a loving heart, putting the needs and wants of others before her own. And that's what brought her to be this young, fine woman she is today. Then her mother handed her off to me, and I looked into her eyes and I said, "Lord, I had a little part in this. And if it be your will, would you give her the best traits and qualities that I possess?" And God answered that prayer. So Brian, when you see some bits of stubbornness and hard-headedness and opiniousness, don't blame her. That came from me. Then finally I said, "Lord, give her some of the traits and qualities of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ." And over the years, God answered that prayer. He gave her a servant's heart. She went on mission trips both here and abroad. Most of those mission trips were building and construction trips, and I believe that laid the foundation for her love of architecture today. And then finally, I said, she can't live a life on her own. And I asked the Lord, can you bless her with a man that will one day stand before her as we stand today and be her husband? And God answered that prayer. And I said, Lord, please place trials and tribulations in his life so that he will learn to seek your will, not only in his life, but his family's life, his wife's life, and their future children, our future grandchildren. And may they be raised in a spiritual home that learns to seek and love the Lord. And today, Pastor, God has answered that prayer. And I say, if that doesn't answer the question, I will simply say her mother and I do with the Lord's blessings. Love you. As much.